from here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I am the founder and CEO of Global Chamber, and I am a very strong believer in the future and the present of Africa and the opportunity there. I believe in the people. I believe in what's possible. And I have that belief because of some of the people in this room and people that I've met along the way that give me hope that they've got the intelligence and the vision and the drive and all the things required to create the leadership environment and create the export mentality required for a community to come together. AFCFTA has already taken a big step. That's a huge step in terms of getting just people to talk with each other and create standard systems of trade across borders. That's really the first step then to getting to the next level, which is an export community into Europe and into Asia and into other parts of the world. Leaders like Messi Warner and Komi Klue, who will be our keynote speakers today, understand all of that way better than me. And so let's move on to them. We have a couple different conversations, and each presenter will take their own style in terms of presenting their information, but both have significant things to say. Messi Warner has been a speaker at Global Chamber before. She's based in Ethiopia, and she's a leader on the capital side. She was before we started talking about exporting, which was great to hear because we have some things for you on that side as well. Messi, thank you so much for all of your leadership and your brilliance in terms of leading people, training people, inspiring people. Looking at your LinkedIn profile, you're involved in so many different amazing opportunities and amazing initiatives. And so we're just really pleased and honored to have you speak here today. Could you share a little bit about what your plan is for today and give us a sense of, how should we handle questions and things like that? No,
I was muted.
No worries.
So anyway, after so many years of Zoom, I still speak muted, right? Thank you so much, Doug. That was really, really generous of you. Yes, I am, well, he already said my name, so I don't have to repeat. Founder and CEO of Ignite Investment. We are involved in a number of things, but most importantly for us, we are the first equity investment crowdfunding platform in Ethiopia, and we claim to be the very unique one in Africa as well. And we are a growth accelerator company, as well as Doug mentioned, heavily involved in the Ethiopian Capital Markets Authority and getting engaged with them because it's a newly being implemented activity in Ethiopia and expanding the financial sector and capital mobilization methodologies. So one of the things, the innovative things that we are doing here in Ethiopia as well as Africa is the equity crowdfunding capital mobilization. So as Doug mentioned, this is just a brief. Be brave, and then we can make it a conversation instead of me just talking. Those are some of the few things I talk about. I would be remiss if I don't mention I'm heavily involved in women economic empowerment. So in everything that we do, we want to make sure that women are actively participating, whether it is in the capital market or access to market, access to finance, and driving economic growth in the continent. investment. So we are very, very conscious of being part of that. So those are some of the things we do, including, investment readiness as well as export readiness. We were just chatting just before the show started. So the way I'm thinking is, I guess I can really do brief in the area, just to be concise, in the area of opportunities in Africa, especially in Ethiopia, but throughout Africa. What are the opportunities in what sectors in terms of investment, trade, as well as the evolving capital market in Africa, but in Ethiopia as it's new. And most importantly, the AFCFTA, what are we doing? How much are we capitalizing on that? Because I mean, that's big, billions of Africans, as well as trillions of a big economic zone that the African bloc would be. So we can talk about all those, and then as we go, we could just have a conversation, and anyone can ask. But we can give you a brief opportunities and descriptions and outlines of these activities, and then we can have questions and answers from the people. I think you are muted, maybe. You are muted, sorry.
Yeah. You were doing it, so I thought I'd try it as well. So Comey Clue has some things to talk about as well, so we want to make sure that we weave him in to that as well. But that sounds like a really great plan. So please go ahead, or start however you'd like, and then we'll interject questions as you like.
So it is my turn, Doug.
Would you like to introduce yourself, and then we'll come back to Messeret, back to Messi?
Yeah. Okay. My name is Comey Clue, and I'm the chairman and president of I'm the chairman and CEO of EMI Group, Emerging Market Investment Group. I had many years of global banking experience, and we have created this firm where I work in collaboration with Ruby, Mrs. Golo, who is our executive director in Ghana, and another consultant who is Mrs. Sambu, Abdullah Sambu, who probably is on the line. And we provide investment advisory to companies that are based mostly in the global north, Europe and North America, who are looking at opportunities in Africa. And like Messi, I'm currently also the chairman of I believe the first diaspora-funded private equity firm that is based in West Africa. So we are pretty much involved in the private equity and capital market space. Now, my company is based in Accra, Ghana, but we have representation in 35 countries across Africa. So we operate in Francophone, Anglophone country, but we are based in West Africa. Now, what are the opportunities? The opportunities are mostly in agriculture, food production. As you know, that our population is more than 1 billion and growing. Africa is the fastest growing demographic area in the world. And so food production, we need to feed our people. Food production is growing fast and offering a lot of opportunities. And the good news is there are a lot of outside investment that are coming in that area, mostly not necessarily from the US, unfortunately, mostly from China, from Israel, and from Turkey. And the Gulf countries also are investing heavily in that area. Green energy and revolution also is happening in Africa faster than we can think of. We are moving slowly and surely from fossil fuel to green energy. And in fact, the European Union has just pledged $5.1 billion to South Africa to help them with the transition from coal to renewable energy. After AFTCTA also is another element and event that is happening across Africa where opportunities are just being opened up because we're breaking down the barriers, the trade barriers across African continent. So we are talking about trillions of dollars in trade and opportunities across Africa. Believe it or not, technology is also making a big time inroad across Africa, and AI adoption is very, very fast, and it is happening across all industries. And specifically, um, over the last 2 months, the AI platform that has been created by the Chinese, DeepSeek, is making an inroad in Africa across industry and most importantly in the financial sector. Africa is well known and for mobile money, we call it fintech, mobile money innovation, which started in Kenya and is taking over across Africa and the world. So technology is reshaping that landscape. So I have a question for you. Based on what I just presented, how do you think your company can jump in and seize any opportunities that Africa has to offer? Like I said earlier, we are moving more from natural resources to human resources and to tech-driven innovation. So the African that you have seen on the news is not the African that is happening today, and it's changing so fast. So we will not need to answer me now, but that's a question. How do you think your industry or your company can seize on any of these uh, opportunities? Now, how can we help you? We are looking for anybody who needs investment, advice, and who needs to know more about Africa, who want to explore opportunities across Africa. Our consortium, Ruby and Abdullahi and myself, has published an investment advisory guide on 4 countries that we have selected in across West Africa, specifically Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, and Ivory Coast. We believe those are the top investment destinations in West Africa for 2025. And we have all the data to support it. So in closing, I will stop here and see if Ruby or Mr. Sambu have anything to add to it. If not, we can take the question and all 3 of us will be happy to answer your question. Thank you. Ruby, are you on? You want to add anything to?
Yes, thank you, Komi. You have nicely covered most of the areas, and I just want to add a few more, that there are opportunities in the healthcare sector. People are looking for healthcare services and related businesses. In terms of agri, we are looking to add value to our produce so that we can package it, and not just for local consumption, but to export them as well. The good thing about Ghana is that we do have a new government that is very keen to drive the agribusiness, and they are on the path of resetting the country, and there are lots of opportunities. In terms of real estate, we do have construction and infrastructure opportunities in terms of materials and services. So it all depends on which area or which industry or sectors you are interested in. Like Komi said, we've come together to be able to bring our expertise and experience. We understand the culture, we have the connection, we have the contact. We are open to help anyone that is interested in exploring West Africa. I think for now, I'll end it there. If we have individual questions, we'll be happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Okay, thank you. So I don't think Sambu is on. So I think Doug, that's it for now. We take question, and all three of us will be able to answer the question.
Tommy, I'm on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I like the background there. So well designed.
Thank you.
So I think that both for you, Ruby, and you pretty much like cover pretty much everything. I think that today that we can all agree that Africa is a prime destination for import, export, pretty much all sectors because the continent is growing. Is forecast to be 1 billion people by 2050. So anything that we can do to support, anything that we can do to provide the best advice for investment in Africa as a whole, because of the great connection of the global chamber. Komi, Ruby, and myself are just like working together and just like really providing advisory services, because that we know that a lot of mistakes is being made just because of the lack of knowledge of the continent. So that's why we are positioning ourselves here on behalf of the Global Chamber to provide the best advices for investment. So we do have projects in Africa. We know the continent have great contact network. So today that if you need help, that we are positioned to help you execute in the continent. So I just wanted to quickly share that. But thank you, Komi. Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you.
Back
Thank
to
you.
Doug.
Thank you all. Before getting back to Messi, I'd like to circle back over to Nigeria. There's a couple leaders over there. It'd be great to hear from. Shalom Bako, I see you're in the call and you've been an active exporter for a number of years. Congratulations on your success. Where are you today? Do you have a moment to check in and add to the conversation?
Yeah, sure thing, Doug. Hello to everyone. I am currently in Abuja, Nigeria. Yeah, it's always good to be part of these type of conversations. And I certainly feel at home with everyone here. So any way I could add value, certainly I can. Like Doug said, I'm Shalom Bako, and I'm the managing director of Afrivana. And I've been doing business between the continent and North America for at least the last 15 years. So I certainly have a lot of experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I can certainly tell you, from my experiences, some of the things that we've gone through to build and develop, a supply chain and distribution channels for agricultural products from primarily we started with West Africa, but now more countries on the continent. So we've been able to successfully, develop a supply chain for agricultural products between the continent and now North and South America. So I'd certainly be happy to share from my experience and add value any way I can. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll get back to Messi, and I'll ask just one question, and then have Messi speak, and then we'll open up the floor to everyone's questions. But Messi, one thing that's kind of been burning in my head for a few years was when I was reading the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. His first travel outside of South Africa was to Ethiopia, and he was so impressed by the lack of a history of colonization. And one of the things, that I think is observable is that so much of Africa is still a bit under the cloud of that. And I'm wondering if you and Ethiopia and the Ethiopian spirit, that Nelson Mandela saw in those days is something that will allow Ethiopia to rise and also be inspirational for a lot of the things that need to happen, including young people and women and export mentality all increasing. I wonder how it may be maybe completely wrong analogy or a wrong thought, but it's been occurring to me for a while, and while you were speaking, it reoccurred. I wonder how that impacts potentially AFCFTA and the future of Africa. And then please go ahead with anything else you'd like to say, and then we'll open up the floor to everybody's questions.
Yeah, good question, right? There is a plus and minus. I think that will get me in trouble when saying for a place.
I got
that
it. I didn't want to get into politics. Sorry about that.
It is very true. I think it is true that colonization is not really a plus. So it's a very iffy topic to get into, but I will say that in general, it's a plus and minus. It's a plus in a sense that we do have so much independence, and we do have our own culture fully, really. We do not have influence of the language or the culture or this and that. Even in terms of education, we have our own, a lot of pride. Ethiopia is really, really known, so proud, we have our culture intact and things like that. But I think there is also some drawbacks. For example, I think, I don't know, some countries may have some infrastructure, connectivity, or supply chains, and others that may have been opened up with this, I don't know, legacy colonizers countries. We do not have that. So we had to start anything from scratch. The other thing I would say about that is I think because of what happened after, even though we had so much progress and so much history and so much amazing activities that we started the African Union. Well, it's African Union now. It's the OAU, the Organization of the African Union. Many, even we started the capital market at that point, and we started the commercial code, just completely independent of any influence from outside. And we had so much, I mean, the famous one, defeating the Italians with our own inventions and civilizations and a lot of things that we do have. But I think what happened after didn't have an add-on kind of effect. So what I'm trying to say is the Cold War and the socialism in the West versus the East, and that type of kind of destroyed some of our really good start and set us back. So during socialism, I think the many private sector ingenuity startups and others didn't progress as much because socialism was a little bit different from capitalism and others. So the private sector didn't have much, and then the public sector took over, and those things are still a legacy. So if you look at Ethiopian economy, for example, I think we have so much contribution to our GDP from the public sector. It's almost 50% of GDP contribution is public sector, versus if you look at Kenya, that has almost 90% of GDP is private sector. So that type of development kind of restarted, and the development just didn't have an add-on effect that would have been a much I don't know, exponential kind of growth, because like you said, we're the second populous country in Africa. We are the gateway to Africa. Ethiopian Airlines is 75 years old and still is a gateway to Africa. African Union is still here. So there is so much happening and so much opportunities. I don't want to get in trouble with my African friends, but it's also a birthplace of coffee, a birthplace of human being. You know, we do have all those things that give us the leg up, but also this pylon has, you know, its own drawbacks and things like that. So that is my take, and I know that even my other Ethiopian friends will dispute that. So that's all I can say from economic progress perspective. But like he said, I think there was a lot more progress if we continued in that path. That said, I think.
Oh, Messi, let me chime in here. I think you're being too humble, and I don't agree with everything that you're saying about the legacy of the lack of colonialism or the impact of the lack of colonialism on you. If we take Ethiopian Airline, for instance, I mean, that's the airline I fly now most of the time when I'm going to Africa. If you take Ethiopian Airline and you see how the people behave, you are proud. You'll feel proud to be an African. First of
Yes.
all, their costume. I mean, the way they dress like Ethiopian. They play Ethiopian music. They give you Ethiopian movies, and the food sometimes, especially in business class, they serve you Ethiopian food. And you cannot find that in any African countries or airline. We have an airline, a good airline in Togo, in West Africa. They have failed because over reliance of the former colonial master. Nigeria Airlines is no longer flying here. Ghana Airlines is no longer flying to the US. And Air Afrique, which was built by most of the Francophone African countries, disappear. But Ethiopian Airlines is still flying high. So you should be proud of yourself. If you deal with Ethiopians, they have a self-confidence. They don't have this spirit of complex of inferiority that the former colonization or colonial master have input in their mind. So I believe there's something we need to learn from Ethiopia. You're being too humble. Thank you.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that's what I said. Ethiopian Airlines is the gateway, right? And
Yeah.
and I completely agree with you. I think that's why we still have our culture intact. We still have our language intact. We
Yes.
still have, like you said, all those things. It's absolutely, there is no question. But I think one of the things I wanted to point out was that if, like, look at Ethiopian Airlines, 75 years old, right? It was started during Haile Selassie. But if we continued, it would have been even more, you know what I mean? If you
Yes.
look at Menelik that defeated the Italians, if we
Yes.
continued in that path, we would have been amazing. Like, we would be even bigger than South Africa. I think I'll get in
Yes.
trouble for that. It's very true. So what I'm trying to say is, I think we started off really well, and we are still very proud from our culture, from our ingenuity, from others. But I think the socialism and the Cold War did really set us back a lot.
That's true. That's true.
And because of that, I think the setback of, for example, the private sector, there was no private sector to speak of during the socialism, really, you know, and then it started, I think, after 91. It even took a long time after the fall of the Cold War. And it just, that's the point I was trying to raise. And also, you know, trying to give credit for my other Africans. So I don't take everything.
Okay. Thank you.
So, but thank you. Yeah, it's
No problem.
very, very true. Very true. I think we're very proud. And I think now it's taking off. Well, the regulation, as I mentioned, the capital market is being implemented, and all those reform, Digital Africa, Startup Africa, all those things are really opening up, because I said, private sector was a little bit set back, and still we have so much room to go. As I mentioned, Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee. We should be leading the world in coffee. Instead, Brazil took a branch of coffee from Ethiopia, and now they are the #1 exporter, right? We shouldn't be that behind. That's all I was trying to point out. Whether you talk about cattle is the #1 population is here in Ethiopia, but then we export the live cattle to the Middle East, and we lose the hide, we lose the other value add. We export the leather to Italy. Gucci actually is made one of Ethiopian lamb, but we're not doing anything here. We could have the Gucci manufacturing here set up, and that we can export it from here. So all those things, I think we kind of lost it in big when we were set up from the socialism. But I will take the next few minutes and point out what we're doing now. I think even what Ignite is doing, as I mentioned, I think from 2021, the proclamation for the implementation of the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority and the Ethiopian Capital Market Ecosystem was passed. Ignite was a very active participant from day one. We have been very much engaged with them, and this is partly why we are active on the equity crowdfunding platform, where we are targeting the $80 billion that's sent into Africa as remittances and directing some of the investment into the productive sector of the economy. Africans are actually the #1 investors, especially now aid is affecting us a lot. It's a wake-up call for us. We need to get involved in actually developing the African economy. Ethiopia is opening up privatization, and Safaricom and M-Pesa that you mentioned is here in Ethiopia because of the Ethiopian Telecom, which is one of the biggest monopolies that has been a public sector. And I think one of them in the entire world, not only in Africa, that hasn't had a private sector player, but now they opened up and they gave some mobile operator licensing to M-Pesa and Safaricom that is coming in, and they are also opening up shareholding into the company and partnership, and the financial sector is opening up. The proclamation to allow foreign investors is coming. So a lot of like the Exim Bank, the South Africa, a lot of foreign banks are opening offices here, waiting for the opening up. 15 licenses to be a player in the capital market is opening up. So we are in the two of them. One of them, we are already in the equity crowdfunding that we're waiting on the final go ahead. But then the Securities Investment Advisory, we're waiting on that. We are waiting to apply and get processed. But there is investment banking, there is a fund management, there is, you name it, 15 different of them, and they are opening up for foreign investors. So for locally Ethiopians, anybody from anywhere in the world can come in and be a joint venture, could be any one of them, because that sector was completely closed off. Even coffee, you could be a coffee exporter if you weren't Ethiopian. Now it's open for anyone to partner, whether you roast here or export the green. So there are many agri-tech. Fintech is big in Ethiopia, like you said. Payment processing is very big in Africa and Ethiopia as well. The agri-tech is big because agriculture in Ethiopia is like 50% of employment is created in the agriculture sector. So agro-processing, agri-tech, you name it, logistics and agriculture, all of it, it's open for foreign investors. Anybody can work with local investors as well as this. And I will just make it clear from our perspective, because you asked some questions. We do not actually invest our own money, even though we did before, but we do facilitate the investment. So Through the crowdfunding, we mobilize capital for Ethiopian SMEs and startups. And for the larger side of it, whether it's outside of the crowdfunding, we do also bring in investors. And for now, we are in Ethiopia and in the US, where Delaware registered the company as well as Ethiopian, because the most Ethiopian diaspora is in the US and we want to start there. But our plan is to scale up in other African countries. And at that point, actually, we're open to work with any companies because the way we do it is when it comes to investments through the crowdfunding, we invest it into African opportunities. And we are also running an accelerator to make sure that, like you mentioned, companies are investable, because that's also some of the opportunity mismatch that happens, as well as export ready. If they get investment, how do they use that money efficiently and grow, including export readiness, and export into different countries and scale up, and then they grow so that they provide actually a return to investors. So I don't want to take more time. I can go on and on. As you can see, I'm passionate about all these opportunities, but I want to just give opportunity to people to ask, and I think make it a conversation.
That sounds great. Nobody's raised your hand, but feel free to ask a question along the way. And I see a number of people, even our team, from different parts of Africa, like Nima in Tanzania, Kelly in Cameroon, Nihi in Nigeria, Zazi, you are in Tallinn, Estonia, but you've got strong South Africa ties. I heard South Africa earlier mentioned by Messi, and Bonamello, I know you're there as well. Does anybody have any additional comments or thoughts or questions, please? Feel free to just unmute yourself and go ahead.
Yeah, hi Doug, Nihi here.
Hi Nihi, how are you? Are you in Lagos today?
Yes, very much so. Very sunny, but I'm here in Lagos. Thank you. It's been a good conversation. I like what Komi has said, and Messi, of course, as usual. Part of what I think we need to face as Africans, and I know perhaps Shalom will agree with me, is the ability to supply. I mean, to address some of the supply chain issues. Now, you have a lot of raw materials being exported from African countries, but because of the lack of standardization, we always have a challenge in those export markets. There needs to be a way that Africans and African economies need to begin to tighten up those screws around those areas, and so as to make our product a bit more attractive in the international arena. I could tell, and vice versa to Ghana. I'm reading something right now about someone who's selling palm oil to Ghana, Nigerian, but she's having a difficulty selling products elsewhere, particularly North America. I think there are ways, and hopefully people like the gentleman and lady on Spotlighted today will be able to address some of these issues, hopefully in this discussion and future ones. So thank you. I just wanted to chip that in.
Thank you, Nihi. Mark, I see your hand, but I would like to go, if you don't mind, to Bonamello, who sent a text. Bonamello, are you there? Would you like to add to the contribution to the conversation?
Thank you so very much, Doug, and good day to everyone. I'd just like to add a small comment, Doug, to say that I'm very excited with these conversations, because indeed we are also championing technology this side as well, particularly from communities and areas where it's not reaching. So I can confirm that indeed the interest and the spark is growing so very much, and I'm very honored to be in this platform to ensure as well that we contribute towards the efforts of this group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bonamello, and thanks for the conversations you've been having with me and with Salih Alimam, the Global Chamber.
Might I make a comment?
Eric, yes,
Hey,
please go ahead. You're not a
sure,
member, but we welcome you to have a comment for sure. Where are you based?
sure. I'm here in Washington, D.C., but my firm has offices in 75 countries. I stole most of my staff from the U.S. Commercial Service when I started the firm 22 years ago. But I'm
Okay.
also a partner in a firm called Synergy Consulting. We just completed a $5 billion financing for a hydro project in Mozambique, a $295 million financing for a power project in Sierra Leone, and we're financing projects in Ghana, several in Nigeria, Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe. We're pretty busy on the continent. We're certainly busy in Saudi and UAE. But my comment relates to when I first helped Eric Ufo-Atwanya and Rosa Whitaker write the AGOA legislation on Rosa Whitaker's kitchen floor. The intent, yeah, it was a long time ago, and I had hair and I was thin, so it's been a long time. But the intent of the AGOA bill was for African producers to really look at replacing the Chinese, and that was 24 years ago. And in a practical sense, I personally have helped many African exporters sell to the U.S. The thing that people don't understand is what you need is an enlightened and strong sales force actually in the United States that has relationships with the Macy's, the Nordstroms, the Target, the TJ Maxx, the Starbucks, et cetera. So that's the first thing. If you have a U.S. sales channel link, then you can concurrently get financing from DFC, which used to be called OPIC, to finance the expansion or growth of the processing or manufacturing activity. So I have about 35 African clients that I'm helping, and it's growing daily. Because what's happening, people in the Trump administration, regardless of what you think about them, their goal is to actually get more products produced on the continent that would come into the U.S. zero duty. The difficulty is many of the African companies don't understand you need to hire advisors to help you both with the sales, the logistics, getting grants from the various states. Like here in Maryland, we have a $50,000 grant for any African company that wants to export to Maryland and set up warehousing and logistics in Maryland. It's a simple application, but I have 4 staff. That's all they do all day, writing those applications for our clients. My overall editorial comment is for Africans to become consumers of U.S. services so they can be sellers of African goods. Consumers of U.S. services, legal, accounting, financial modeling and planning, and advisory, so that they can actually sell the products that they want to sell. So
that makes
I would offer, it's not actually that difficult, but the charity mindset, as the young lady from Ethiopia mentioned, that socialist and charity mindset affects people's view. They see the U.S. as investors or charity, but they see China as business partners. So the transformation is psychological. It's not anything other than that.
Thank you for sharing. We'll get you connected to Mijang Hibbets, and also, do you already know Comey?
I don't.
Okay.
I talk to Ruby every so often, and she's amazing.
We'll get you connected.
Yes.
Messi mentioned about being incorporated in Delaware, and so actually both of our keynote speakers today have a Delaware connection, so very close to DC.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of companies from Delaware, for whatever it's worth, Doug, because the state of Delaware doesn't offer their exporters or importers other services. So though you're saving on taxes, I'd rather pay a few more taxes to be a Maryland or Pennsylvania company, for whatever it's worth.
Well, we'll get you connected to Mijang Global Chamber Maryland, so that'll be great. Thank you very much for sharing. Nima, I don't know what. We'll get back to Mark, but I wanted to make sure that Nima had a chance to check in. Nima, are you available to chat from Tanzania, please? Or Zazi, I know you guys are working together. Zazi, how about yourself? Do you have any comments either on what you've heard here so far, your South Africa or other Africa experience that you'd like to add to the conversation? Hi, Nima.
Hi, Doug. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Zazie, you want to go first?
No, go for it. I'll go after you.
Okay. I just wanted to add on the work that we are doing. It's really great to hear about everything that is happening in Africa and the work that we're doing, me and OneZim and other partners on export readiness. We are supporting women entrepreneurs, and one thing that we are doing is supporting women to trade among themselves. And another thing is that women do not buy things in containers, like full containers. They don't order. They normally buy in 100 kgs, 50 kgs, but we have systems that support women to trade among themselves, having agencies in Africa. For example, I'll be in Tanzania, I can be selling my cashew nuts to Zambia and have an agency for my product. So there are a lot of good things that women are doing. The only thing that is hindering us is having, the system, the compliance, and other getting the standardization and all. That's the main challenge that is facing not only women and youth, but businesses to have the right awareness or the right knowledge or a right place to get these things. But so far we are growing, and awareness is growing, and seeing that we have so many parties doing a lot of things. I think we are getting there. Thank you.
Brilliant. Whenever I hear you speak, I get inspired. And also it reminds me of Jane Goodall and the book I just finished, The Book of Hope. If you haven't read that, and her work in Tanzania that started with speaking with the chimpanzees and moving all the way through all of her amazing work, including sustainability and young people activating their activities and leadership and women, a lot of the things that you're involved with. So thank you very much, Nima. Mark, you raised your hand. Did you have a question or a thought, please? You're based in the UK.
I certainly am, and hope is dope. Hope is the last thing ever lost. So my question to Meseret is, I'm a super connector. I run hundreds of WhatsApp groups. If I was to create a WhatsApp group that revolves around you and your work, what would I call it?
Empowering Africa.
There you go. There's your funnel.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I really do believe that we do have the ingenuity. You would be surprised how many very young Africans here in Ethiopia, but I have been in most African countries, are really tackling the biggest challenges, like, the health tech, for example. Healthcare in Africa is the biggest challenge that we have got. And the telehealth, it's the rural areas, which is 75% of the population in Ethiopia, still some of them not connected in infrastructure, but they do have the mobile, they do have the penetration. So, they are creating telehealth so that you can actually have a doctor, even sitting in UK, and some doctors in Washington, DC. The UN says actually Ethiopia has more gynecologists in DC than Ethiopian Americans than here in Ethiopia. So you have got all these volunteers who are getting connected and in giving live update and helping nurses who are in the local area on the phone, helping people solving. So it's just amazing. But the problem is we do not have access to finance. They do not scale. they just stay so small, or sometimes when a shock happens they do not get anywhere or they may disappear. So for us as a Zigna investment, we work with all these comprehensive solutions. We are trying to tackle that, and when we look at the research, not only Ethiopian but in all Africa, I think about 40% of Africans, even though they do remittances, do invest. Actually here in Ethiopia, Ethiopian Americans are the #1 FDI investors who come in, including me. I'm born here, but I am Canadian who came back 10 years ago. And we invest our money, our energy, and things like that. And people do not have to come back, but they can contribute in many different ways: product development, mentoring, coaching, investing. And this is why we created the diaspora investment. They can invest $1,000 versus $100,000, so that they can empower, as compiled, invest in 100 or 1,000 Ethiopian can raise 200,000. That would make a huge difference for startups. So yeah, absolutely. And that's what we are creating. Shameless plug, I would say, is that we are going to Washington, D.C. In May. There is this big, maybe most of you know about, the African Diaspora Network, ADN. They are based in Silicon Valley, but they are celebrating their 10 years anniversary. I think they were in Biden administration's diaspora engagement advisory committee or something. But anyway, they do have yearly African diaspora investment symposium. So we are going there, and we are relaunching again with the Ethiopian capital markets our equity crowdfunding, and we will be in town in DC area. So any one of you, if you are there, please reach out or come, and I will send it once we are ready with our flyers to share with all of you. We come to London all the time. I have a lot of friends.
Can you put the flyer in the chat?
Yes, I will. We don't have it yet. That's why, because it's in May 28th, May 28th to 31st. So I will make sure to send it to Global Chamber and to share it with everyone. But I'm gonna put you on the spot, Jared. Create the WhatsApp group you mentioned, and then I would be more than happy to share it as soon as it's ready. Yeah, because we are trying to make sure the venue and the hours that they are giving us. We're doing a big sponsorship, and we're getting a platform when they are opening on Wednesday the 28th. But we just want to make sure those things before we publish the flyer.
Yeah, WhatsApp is quite popular in Africa. And I was just about to send you an invite to connect on LinkedIn. I was very pleasantly surprised to discover that we are already connected on LinkedIn. And I feel that most of the individuals in my network are women. I feel the system is kind of skewed against women, especially if you're a woman of color. So I've got 3 mentees. They're all young black women, and one of them has been told she's going to become one of Africa's first astronauts. How cool is that? Very proud of her. I taught her how to use LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Comey, 1 minute last word before we wrap up.
No, this is a very, very refreshing conversation. I'm really excited, and Africa is open for business. If you need any help, just reach out to us. There's a lot of opportunities there, and we have special offer for Global Chamber members. So just reach out to Ruby, Abdullah, and myself, and then we are on. Messi, I need to take you up on your offer. We're going to bring your platform to West Africa. So let's connect after the call. We'll bring it to West Africa.
So is he in the DC area as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's thank you, Abdullah, for being a member, but I wanted to confirm that. That's great.
Yes, I am. So I just wanted to quickly share also that the continent, it's really a continent, Africa. It's a great destination for opportunities right now. But one thing that you should know, there is a lot of do's and don'ts, right? So you need advisory services. You're going from one country to another, just like things are totally different from French-speaking country to an English-speaking country is different. From one country that has their own central bank to a country that does not is totally different, because investment could be easier, could be different. So countries that have their own central bank, maybe easier than those who do not, but it's not a challenge, a barrier. You just got to know the do's and don'ts. So I just wanted to share that. Take advantage of like us that are here so we can provide the best service to you so you can invest safely and for the long term. Thank you.
As far as do's and don'ts, one of the do's is hang out with Messi and get empowered. Messi, a final word, a 1-minute wrap up.
Thank you, Doug. I think you're doing, not because you're here, an amazing work connecting all of us. Really, this is really perfect, from UK to Asia to Africa. So that's what we're gonna work at. And I'm really happy to see everybody else in different parts of Africa trying to tackle and address. But I think my last thing to say is Africa shouldn't be looking into aid, really. We should be like a country feeding the world. We have the most arable land in the world. We have the commodities you can think of. All the coffee everybody enjoys comes from most of Africa. The leather, the ingenuity, the gold, the silver, the mining, the agri-tech. So to me is I think we need to get out of this mentality of dependency and aid and support. 75 years of aid didn't get us anywhere, and we shouldn't be thinking about the next 75 years like that. So what we should think about is what Doug is doing, getting into the global market and empowering ourselves economically. It could be trade, it could be investment, it could be knowledge transfer, but Africa is really the biggest opportunity going forward. I think 6 of the fastest growing countries in the world are in Africa. So please do look into Africa. We have opportunities left and right. Yes, I do agree. The challenges are out there, but the opportunities are actually much more bigger.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We're going to end now. If Sally, you're on the call, our conversation with Russia is starting. I haven't spoken about that possibility for a couple of years, but given the dynamics of the world right now, we have an opportunity to move forward there. And we also have, actually, coincidentally, the Global Chamber Baltimore Washington Advisory Board is about to start. So so we're going to jump off the call. Thank you so much, Messi. You are amazing. And Comey is too. I mean, you guys are doing great work. And I agree, Messi, with your comment. Not that I'm any great shakes, but I think anytime we get together and we talk about what we're doing and we work together as a village, that we're going to be stronger together and be global and unstoppable. Thank you.
Doug, really quickly, if you need any sponsorship for the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Chamber, feel free to text me or call me.
I'll connect you I'll connect you there, Eric.
Sure.
Thanks for joining today. Thanks to everybody for joining today. Have a great day. Take care.
Nice meeting you, everybody. Bye.
Right.
Thanks, Messi.
Thank you, Doug. Bye.
We'll be in touch.
All right. See you soon. Bye. I can't even exit, can I?